4 shall come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
Second.
By Mark, seconded by Dana, that we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. To the consent agenda, we need approval of City Council meeting minutes of June 17th, 2024, of which you have a copy. We need approval of a conflict of interest policy, and this is in your packet. We have 3 resolutions. The first resolution, 2448, is a resolution accepting the Destination Iowa grant of $4.37 million for the Surf District Creative Placemaking Projects and approving and authorizing the city administrator to sign said agreement on behalf of the city and acknowledging and approving an effective date of January 24 of 2023. Second resolution, Resolution 2449, a resolution accepting a community attraction and tourism grant with the Iowa Economic Development Authority, IEDA, and approval of funding for the Music Enrichment and Immersive Center project. And the third resolution, Resolution 2450, a certificate of resolution in the year 2024 for the City of Clear Lake, Section 125, premium only, plan for plan year ending June 30th of 2025. We also need approval of the bills and claims, of which you have a copy, and we have the following licenses and permits. We have a liquor license with the Rotary Club of Clear Lake for Brews on the Beach, that's new. We have sign erector's license with Nagel Signs, that's renewal. We have a cigarette permit, Quick Shop Liquor and Vape, that's a renewal. We have street closing requests, Brews on the Beach, Saturday, July 13th. Antique Boat Show, Saturday, July 20th. And the Lions Chicken Barbecue on Sunday, July 21st. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Creighton, that we approve the consent agenda because we have 3 resolutions. Is there any discussion? There being none, I'll do roll call on the resolutions, all 3 of them together. Mark?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Beth Ann?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and all 3 resolutions are duly adopted. Now is the time and place for any citizen in the audience who wishes to address the council on any issue or item that is not on the agenda. Please approach the podium, state your name first and last, give your address so the clerk can properly enter the minutes. This is not a discussion time nor a question and answer time, and you have 3 to 5 minutes. None appearing, we'll move on to unfinished business, which is number 5 on the agenda. We have no unfinished business, but we have new business under item number 6A, General Obligation Urban Renewal Bonds Series 2024B. Review, Mr. Flory. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll just run through these items in the packet here with you quickly. The first item pertaining to this matter is a green sheet in your packet. It's a resolution authorizing and approving a loan agreement providing for the issuance of $5,085,000 in general obligation urban renewal bonds, Series 2024B, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same. So again, that's just flip through the next sheets. The white sheet in your packet is the loan agreement that would be entered into between the city and Northland Securities of Minneapolis. Again, identifying that the purchaser shall loan to the city the sum of $5,085,000. And then continue on a little bit further, the gray sheet, continuing disclosure certificate to comply with various SEC rules. So we talked about this a bit there at the last meeting. Jacob kind of reviewed that one a little bit. kind of looking at that when really it's stuff that you've seen before in terms of the things that we have to follow. So like the bond purchasers, when they purchase the bonds, there are certain things that they might want to be aware of. So those are enumerated a little bit, and if you look at like section 4, number B, so there are things that are like in our audited financial statements that we're required to file on Emma that they'll have access to, but this is identifying just some other things that aren't necessarily in some of those audited financial statements that they might find interesting in terms of their ownership of our bonds. So. The purple sheet is the registrar paying agent agreement. That is between the city and UMB Bank and Kansas City to act in the capacity of paying agent for this particular issue. So again, that's just basically keeping track of who owns the bonds when they're bought, sold, keeping track of the ownership register, and then paying the people that own those bonds. So. And that's really about all on that. Just again, way of some review, back at the meeting on June 17th, the council, of course, had approved the resolution authorizing the bond purchase agreement. The bond purchase agreement with Northland was in the amount of $5,466,477.60 for the sale of $5,085,000 in general obligation urban renewal bonds with Northland from Minneapolis, serving as the underwriter. Again, as we mentioned, this was a negotiated placement with Northland. The bonds have an optional call date of June 1st, 2031. Do have the capitalized interest payment that we'll be making this December 1st. $221,762.50, and the interest comes due semi-annually thereafter, so every June and December 1st thereafter. First principal maturity is June 1st of 2026. As you know, the bond's over a 10-year schedule, 5% coupon with a TIC of 3.71. As we talked about that meeting on June 17th, the yield to maturity was 3.3%, so an extraordinarily good rate there. Years 26 through 28, as we mentioned at the last meeting, are structured around some of the existing debt that we have, so they're a little bit lower, and then it kind of builds up a little bit later. Again, just build around some of the existing debt that we have on the books. And again, the debt service is anticipated with available tax increment revenues. So the final maturity is June 1st, 2035, and as you know, these bonds were AA2 rated by Moody's. So. I don't have anything further in terms of any of those documents, unless anybody has any questions on those.
Council, any questions for Scott?
Maybe add that the closing date is July 17th, and then you won't have to hear me talk about this anymore. So I think it's been probably 6 or 7 different meetings. I should mention Chip Schultz is on the phone with Northland Securities if anyone has any questions for Chip.
Council, any questions for Scott or Chip? Chip, do you have any comments?
No, the only item I would add is just an indication of the city's, very fortunate timing. If you looked back in the mid-June timeframe, the benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury at that point in time, when the rates were locked in, was 4.22% approximately. As of today, it's 4.47%.
Oh, wow.
So the timing, if you look at it, just go online anywhere that you choose, look at a general benchmark graph of the 10-year U.S. Treasury, you see a nice dip in the point where the city locked in its rate. So really turned out to be good timing, and I can answer any other questions beyond that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate all your assistance with this, Chip, very much.
Yes, sir.
Any comments, questions, or all? Okay, thank you. Therefore, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2451, a resolution authorizing and approving a certain loan agreement for the issuance of $5,085,000 of general obligation urban renewal bonds, Series 2024B, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Mark, that we approve Resolution 2451. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Creighton,
Yes.
Beth Ann,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
and Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries. 5-0, and Resolution 2451 is duly adopted. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve continuing disclosure certificate by this city council. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Creighton, that we approve the continuing disclosure certificate. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And now I'll entertain a motion to approve registrar paying agent agreement by this city council. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Beth Ann, seconded by Mark, that we approve registrar paying agent agreement. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries 5-0. Once again, thank you very much, Chip. Appreciate your work on this particular item.
Yes, sir. Thank you all very much.
Thanks. 6B, Music Enrichment and Immersive Center Building Project, intro and recommendation. Mr. Flory, welcome again, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. The yellow sheet in your packet is an agreement between the North Iowa Cultural Center and Museum and the City of Clear Lake and Trivium Interactive of Boston, Massachusetts. So the white sheet following that is just a cost matrix itemizing kind of what the services that will be provided by Trivium will be and what the cost of those services are. And then the billing milestones are included there on the back side of that, indicating when payments are due on that. And then the last sheets there are just kind of, again, a schedule of when we anticipate starting and concluding on this. So you've all gotten a copy of this document that is up on the screen there. It's a response to the request for proposals that we issued for this project. As you know, for the last several months, I've been giving updates under my report at the council meeting, just to give you an idea of where we're at with this stage of the project here and talking about the RFP process in general for the Music Enrichment Center and with the immersive technology component for it. So both the city, this was again part of a committee process, so both the city and North Iowa Cultural Center Museum had representatives on a committee, or the mayor and myself representing the city, and there were 3 members of the North Iowa Cultural Center and Museum that were on that board. And again, basically the purpose of that was to issue this RFP, review the RFP, interview the consultants that responded to the RFP, and then come back with recommendations to this board and that board as well. So tonight, both my and Jeff's pleasure here this evening to bring forward our recommendation for the consultant that we think best fits the needs for this project and has the right combination of experience and qualifications to lead us through this design and implementation of this component of the project. But I think if I could just back up just a little bit and provide just kind of a reminder of sort of how we got to this spot. I promise I won't go long. You probably thought it was wrapping up there and going to be out of here in time. But just a little bit in the way of some review on this. There's some pivotal things that happened along the way, I think, to get us to this stage. So if you recall from our Destination Iowa project, one of the signature component projects was this Music Enrichment Center. And so I didn't include music enrichment and immersive in that, just Music Enrichment Center at that time. So if you recall, we considered it to be more, at that time, much more of like an interpretive kind of center project, not a fully immersive experience kind of project. So there's going to be a theater and some other sort of interactive activities that were going to be included in this, and the media used to communicate these different messages that we wanted to share with the audience. So, you know, it was really during this due diligence process for that component when we were talking to these different museum consultants that we really had an epiphany of sorts on this and thought, you know, wouldn't it really be interesting if we could take this to a higher level and utilize this greater level of technology here in communicating the messaging and experience, being just kind of a more impactful way to share the story that we have here through this technology. So we decided at that point we would work with Atura and authorize them to engage Mechdyne from Marshalltown, sort of a sub-consultant to Atura on this and developing these concepts and preliminary planning options for this kind of technology so that it could be included in the designing of the building so that it could be bid as part of the project, the Music Enrichment Center project when we're taking bids on it. So again, so that basically the sort of the general technology infrastructure, if you will, could be included within the project for the bidding and take advantage of the economies of scale in bidding a project like that. So we did all of that, and of course, we knew at that point this kind of technology was going to be a lot more expensive than the kind of technology that we were talking about previously that we had originally envisioned for this project. But we all felt like the juice was really worth the squeeze. We'd take a run at this and kind of see where it would end up. So we decided we're going to need some more help financially to make this become a reality. And so the Community Attraction and Tourism Grant was an opportunity through the Iowa Department of Economic Development that was available to us. One of the requirements of that was that we needed support from our county government in order to make that application. So there was a group from the city and the nonprofit that met with our board of supervisors a couple of times, and they agreed to contribute $250,000 for this project as a local match. The city also agreed we needed to have a match in there as well, so we agreed to contribute an additional $300,000 for this portion of the project for the purposes of making this CAT application. So our total application request to the state was for $965,000. And of course, as you know, the application was very, very well received by the state. And many comments to the effect that if it were not for the fact that we were already receiving nearly $4.4 million in Destination Iowa funds for the Surf District project, this project would have been fully funded by the Enhanced Iowa Port. So be that as it may, they awarded us $400,000 to put towards this $1.5 million project. So essentially we needed to figure out where we were going to come up with the gap there, but between some reallocation of funding for the Music Enrichment Center project and some scaling back of some of the furniture, fixtures, equipment, we'll be able to meet that gap. So I did want to also mention too, there are some additional grant opportunities that are being pursued by North Iowa Cultural Center and Museum. So, should we get those grants, those would be applied to this project as well. So. We got, maybe move on to the RFP itself, which is kind of where we're at this moment. So following the issuance of the RFP, our selection committee met, reviewed the responses, evaluated them, and then set interviews with each of the three firms that responded to our request for proposal, and brought them here. The firm here this evening, Trivium, they give them all the credit in the world for an in-person visit. They came from Boston for the interview. Very impressed with that. And they were the very first firm we interviewed, and my evaluation of them after we were done was that they were going to be a hard act to follow. And they definitely were. And I think the other firms had their own strengths as well, but I thought Trivium overwhelmingly was the strongest on their content creation capabilities, and were certainly as good or better than the other firms on the technology aspects of the project as well. So I was very impressed, again, by what I thought was the relevant experience that they brought to the table on this project, in specifics as it related to history, music, and museums in general. And so I know most of you have looked through this proposal, so you'll see some of their examples, award-winning stuff in many cases. But I thought the history, the museum, and the music just all really resonated very well for what we needed for our project here, and really set them apart from the other firms. So I don't have anything further in terms of an introduction, but I do know Jeff would also like a few moments to speak before we turn it over to Kirsten Holmes with Trivium to talk about her firm and what she sees for the project, and go from there.
Any questions for Scott before we listen to Jeff? Thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate that.
I actually didn't know there was a council meeting here. I thought this was a planning meeting for the class of 76 class reunion coming up. Doug and I were classmates. If you recall, we came through your science department in junior high. Doug was an athlete and a scholar. I was just a kid that was going back to the farm. So anyway,
You're
Mr.
really aged then, aren't you?
Mr. Mayor and Scott and council, it's a pleasure to be here. And Scott did such a wonderful job encapsulating kind of the progress and our steps along the way. I guess my comments would be, this is a big ask. We realize this is a big ask. This whole project is a big ask. And, but this is a big community, and it's a community much bigger than just the population that we have. This is a special community, and it's a community that is looked at throughout North Iowa and the state in the Midwest. And so we need to be leaders in these kinds of things. And so back to the static museum. It's hard to get people to go to static museums where you see a picture that says Buddy Holly, Richie Van. You know, people don't go to those museums, and it's just so as we progress through that, we realized that we had to do something different. You know, and it's we don't need to know how to build things in this town. We got lots of great people that can build things in this community. But when it came to the creative point, we thought, you know what? We think maybe we could do this, but we really need some help. And so we reached out, put out the RFP, three responses to that, and we're so excited when Trivium came, and they were heads and shoulders above everybody else in the creative part of it. And they showed their passion and their commitment and their understanding, not necessarily of our story, but their understanding of music. They've done several other projects. The Black Musicians Hall of Fame, Walk of Fame in Cincinnati, Ohio. There's some pictures in the brochure. Absolutely amazing. So we thought, we've got a world-class story here. We got lots of world-class stories. And so we sought out a world-class team that can stand behind us, stand shoulder to shoulder with us, and to make this, I don't like to use the word pride, but make this a place that people will come and walk away very happy, very satisfied, and want to come and be a part of our community. So really with that, that's all I have. Scott, do you go ahead and want to introduce? I assume when you say telephonically, that sounds like that Eva Douglas standing on the top of the telephone.
Yeah. Any questions, council, for Scott, or for Jeff before he sits down? All right. We'd like to welcome with us tonight telephonically from Trivium out of Boston, Massachusetts, Kirsten Holmes. Welcome, Kirsten.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm sorry I can't be there or project some kind of hologram to be with you all. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
This has been such an honor to work on this proposal and on this RFP. Like what was described, the content is absolutely amazing, and just to be able to work with the content and the technology to really bring the story to life just excites us so much. I have other people on the phone as well. Is there a slideshow going? I can't, it's hard to see. I've got the YouTube streaming, but I can't see very well. So there's two other folks on the phone. There's Nino from Electrosonic, who will be our hardware provider. So he's the guy who buys all the projectors and all the hardware that is installed and makes this whole thing run. And then my business partner, Bruce Spiro, is also on the phone from Trivium. So we were going to just quickly give you a little bit of company background and show just a little demo reel to give you a sense of the kind of work that we do, and then talk a little bit about our creative. So I can't, it's hard for me to see if our presentation is playing. Is our presentation playing?
Kirsten, just let me know when you want the slides to move forward and I'll move them.
Oh, yeah, let them rip. That would be great. Okay, great. So that's, so if you want to go to the next slide, we can all laugh at our mug shots on there. Yep. Yeah, so that's me and Bruce and then Nino. So those are the three people on the phone with you right now. And then, yeah, let's go to the next. It's just a little movie that shows you some of the projects that we've worked on, just to give you kind of the range of the work that Trivium does. And then Nino will give you a little bit of intro into the work that Electrosonic does, the hardware provider. Yeah, so, and please interrupt me if anybody has questions. Yeah. All right, so yeah, let's go to the next slide and just hit the video.
Okay, it's finished.
Oh, great. Yeah, sorry. My video feed is just a little bit behind. So if you want to go to the next slide, that's just kind of a list of our capabilities, just to describe to you what Trivium does. So we do media design and content production, which for your project is really what we're focused on here. We also do a lot of prototyping and user testing. So we'll have a lot of folks playing the prototypes that we set up to make sure that whatever we're producing is of world quality. We do video production and studio shoots and on-location filming. But we know that you also have some really good talent locally that we'll be working with on that. So we want to make sure that we include folks that are regional. And then we'll be working closely with Electrosonic on the hardware and systems consulting. And if you want to go to the next slide, just a little overview of our team. So you can see some of the other folks you'll be working with in our office. Great. And yeah, so those folks kind of cover all of these capabilities: 2D, 3D artists, editors, content developers, project managers, all the folks that we need to get this kind of large installation done. And then I'm going to turn it over to Nino to talk a little bit about Electrosonic, and then we'll end with some of our creative thoughts for the project.
Sounds good.
Hello, everyone. Nino Fassar with Electrosonic. Thank you for the invite to the meeting. Really appreciate the opportunity. Electrosonic has celebrated its 60 years in March. We're a full turnkey solution provider from design all the way through service and support of AV systems. We do large-scale projection, media walls, immersive audio, pretty much anything that makes noise or projects video. We love it and specialize in it. My position is strategic partner manager. I work with teams of designers, media producers, fabricators, and device manufacturers to put together a package that adds some value to your project. A lot of times hardware, people think, is the major component. At Electrosonic, for us really the major component is how do we support the media. Our designs, we pretty much focus on making sure that any AV melts away and you're experiencing the content. Because that's really what people are there for, not to see how big the projection is. It's what's the messaging from the content. And working with Trivium, we've developed a really nice synergy. They come up with the vision, my team understands their work, and we work hand in hand to make that connection between devices and media so that it blends into one beautiful experience. I've been with Electrosonic for 6.5 years. I've been in AV for over 20, and I have to say that the last 6.5 years of this type of work and museum work has been, without a doubt, the most fulfilling in my career. And then if you could play that project reel, slide 6.
Complete.
Well, yeah, that's a snapshot of some of the work that we're blessed to be able to be involved in. And if you jump to slide 7, these people are just a snapshot of the ultrasonic theme. Globally, we're just under 500 people, but it's all these little groups that really is the know-how behind those projects. So, you know, we have a fully staffed service arm, a technical design team, an engineering team for our production work, project managers, project engineers on site. They're the people that make sure the projection fits correctly, aligns correctly, and is seamless. Fabrication, design consulting, then obviously site supervision during projects. It's the complete team that takes it from design all the way through a working system that your team can support. And then if you go to slide 8, just a couple of visual pieces. Some of these projects we work together with Trivium on. Some of it is just large-scale projections, so you get a scale of what we do, how it, you know, really transforms your room and makes people feel, you know, what is the messaging behind the content. And then Bruce, if you want to just talk a little bit about Black Music Walk of Fame.
Yeah, you know, hi everybody, I'm the third person on the call, Bruce with Trivium. Thank you again for having us here. So, you know, a partnership with Electrosonic, a recent one in the last year was mentioned during the meeting, the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, which it really pulls a lot of the components together that we're talking about for bringing the surf ballroom alive, interactivity, large-scale video projections, the dynamic storytelling of a lot of history, and really about how it's a lot more than just Clear Lake and just Iowa, even more than just the United States. How some of this music and the events that surrounded what happened in Clear Lake impacted music around the world, and so it's similar to some of the stories in the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. So if you go to the next slide, this is an early, you don't play the video, it's an early concept rendering of what some of our ideas. And I think it's important to know we're very early in the creative process. You know, in fact, you know, obviously you're approving things at this meeting, so we aren't officially even hired yet, but we are been thinking through, hey, how can we bring this alive? We know this story, and creating the story and telling it is going to be an amazing collaboration between Trivium Electrosonic, but more importantly with Clear Lake, with the folks at the Surf Ballroom, the North Iowa Cultural Center Museum, that we're going to work together to shape what this thing and what this place becomes, because we want to build a world-class music space, visitor center, immersive space that's like none other. And we want to do it in a way that is compelling. It uses technology, but people walk out of there saying, wow, what an incredible story and what an incredible place. So why don't you go ahead and play. This is an early shows some of the concepts. I'll describe them after you play the video, but you can go ahead and play that animation. It doesn't have sound.
Like that floor stuff. Yeah. Cool.
Some things to look at. There's a large curved screen there that you can see that we'll be using for some really specific storytelling. And then there's projections on all the walls as well. So for instance, when people are interacting, they may be able to walk up to that screen. Some of our ideas were, hey, let's get some really high-res photos of all those signatures in the green room. And maybe people can interact and explore that and show videos or show content related to that. We can have a timeline of things through history, and folks could maybe use gestures or touch the wall to slide through the timeline and touch on artifacts. There's so many incredible artifacts that you guys have access to that are that people can learn about and understand their meaning and how meaningful they are in the history of music. If you go to the next one, there's just a couple more. There's two interactive wall slides. There's two pieces that we imagine of this. One is the immersive we call it a linear show, which just sort of happens around you. So a group will go in there and they'll see projections on the walls and that curved wall. And then the second part of it is the interactive portion, which will allow people to walk up to that curved wall like that rendering and interact. We're still working through the concepts. And then while they're interacting, they can also look around the room, and we'll have on each wall a different era of music represented, or a different musical style or genre. And there'll be sort of shorter videos telling those individual stories with localized sound to really bring it to life. So it's probably, I know during our visit, we went on for probably 45 minutes about ideas and thoughts, but this is just to give you guys a general overview of what we're thinking about and the road we're starting to go down with folks in Clear Lake in the Surf Ballroom, and we're just so thrilled and we're so excited about it. And it really means a lot that we would be selected for this project. It's we know a lot of our folks are going to be fighting to work on it on our team. So anyway, so thank you for the time here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of musicians on our staff who are fighting to get to join our team internally. Everybody is just really over the moon. And I just want to echo what Bruce said. Thank you so much for having us and listening to us about our company and about some of our creative thoughts on this project. We really appreciate it.
Great. This is Nelson Crabb. I just want to make a few comments. I sat in on the interviews, and Trivium was, in my eyes, top above the other two by far. Not the fact that Nino, it's okay, Lino, if you came from Lyndhurst, I wouldn't put that against you, but you're a Frieden Township boy, and that's my county, so. Yeah, we'll accept you. Great, that's good. But what you've all had to say, Kirsten, Bruce, and all of you together, really lights me up. From the time that we were there during the interview and even tonight, because it truly is a sensory experience. I got turned on originally from the Van Gogh experience, but the fact that you are, I believe, the interactive part of this puts you guys well above the Van Gogh, and I say that seriously. The pictures that we just saw tonight, videos, if you will, that combines the light with the sound, with the motion, with the interaction. You put all that together, and it truly is a lasting sensory memory that, you know, old people and young children alike, it'll be unforgettable. You know, you once you have this in your senses, you've got it forever. And that's what I really thought that Trivium did the best. That's the key, is that when we get young children in there as a group, and then you get the middle-aged and you get us gray hairs in there, you want them all to leave with that feeling of, I'm never going to forget this. This will be with me. Much like when this plays, and I think we're going to tell the story, and what I've read that you do, it's within 5 or 6, maybe 7 minutes that you are there. You know, you'll take what happened at the Surf in Music to begin with many years ago with the big bands up through the Holly Valens Bopper, which at that point is when all this music really went solid international. And we still have those people from the international countries that come to that winter dance party that we have annually here over that February 3rd date for three days. They still come back. So you talk about international, that was the point at which it did. Yet to carry that on beyond that into that which occurred thereafter up to present day, and put that all in that 5 to 6 to 7 minutes, and I think I'm right on the time on that from what I've read. You know, it just stays with you forever. That's the important part about this. That's what will make this totally different than anything we have had that, as Jeff Nicholas says, is static. It just is there, and you take a look at it. You know, I've made issue sometimes, positive issue, by the way, Scott. When Scott took me to the art museum in Omaha one day, he said, hey, Crab, we're going to go to the, give me the name of it.
Joslin.
To the
Joslin.
Joslin Museum in Omaha and look at some fantastic art. Oh, brother, this is going to be really, you know, and it was wonderful. But to see this, it just doubles, triples your senses all the way around. And it truly is a type of history in the making to be able to do this. I'll be quiet for a while. Nino will be glad that I shut my mouth here. But anybody else on the council, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Yes, Mayor, thank you, and thank you for all of those comments. I feel strongly the same way. Looking forward to this next exciting chapter as we build the music enrichment and immersive center, as we're calling it now. Of course, I've had the privilege of being along on this ride since very early on when we started the application process for the Destination Iowa grant, and this is just another great milestone throughout that process. One of the things that Jeff said when he was up here, he said, this is a big ask, but this is a big community. And I think, of course, without this big community, these things don't happen. It's just a unique community which allows us to do things like this. And I will add to that, with a big investment is going to come even bigger expectations. And I appreciate the North Iowa Culture Center and Museum coming alongside the city and taking this ride with us, as not only our communities investing in this, but also the state's investing in this. I believe Debbie Durham has highlighted our project as one of the best, if not the best, on the Destination Iowa projects. And so, big investment, not only from our community, but from the state. And as I was thinking about this project specifically, because we're well on our way building the building, we're now adding on to the content there. We're adding on to the interactive abilities of the building. It started reminding me a little bit of what we have in our wellness center, a building that, you know, maybe a community of this size shouldn't have, right? That building is phenomenal. And as they were building that building You look at it and you're getting excited. The building's done. This is a great building. It's super exciting. But what takes it to the next level is when it starts filling up and people from your community love the building and they are using the building, and you go inside that building and it's not just one group of people. It's not just the Scott Flories of the world who work out 24/7. Okay, working out, but it's everyone, right? So it's young families. They might be more in the children's den. You see the high school utilizing it for track practice. You see the turf being used for people playing soccer. You have, I believe the mayor, you like to call your group the gray hairs up there on the walking track. I probably can't say that, but he can. But, and that's, I think when I'm reflecting on the wellness center, that's the expectation of this new building that we're building and the investment that's going into the surf district. We are going to build a phenomenal music enrichment center, and there's going to be now a phenomenal level of interaction, immersion in that space. But what's going to get really exciting is when you start operating it, and it's going to be key how you operate that building moving forward and making it a place that the community loves and is just as proud of as the wellness center, because this is the same type of investment as we have in the wellness center. So it's not a success if there's just a few more people coming on tours, right? It's a success if the community loves it. The people who are coming on tours, their experience is going to be completely different than it was in the past. Lots of different things like that. But again, super excited for another milestone here, and want to thank the North Iowa Culture Center and Museum for partnering with us throughout this project. And of course, thank the community for supporting it to this level, and just looking forward to continuing.
Anyone else wish to comment?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. I'm just really excited about this as well. As a teacher who took high school students there for more than 20 years to Washington, D.C., and stood at the lock keeper's house and told the students what that place was at, just south of the World War II Memorial, and even before the World War II Memorial was built, and just had to talk to them. And then I had the opportunity to actually go inside the new exhibit that you have completed at the lock keeper's house. And I had no idea you had done it. And it's amazing. It tells the story. It lets the house tell the story. And that was when I found out you folks had done that. And then found out what you can do with, after reading your Vita here and watching your show. I am beyond excited to see what's going to happen with our Music Enrichment and Immersive Center. This is going to be, as an historian myself, this is going to be out of this world. And I am thrilled that we can have the opportunity to work with you on this and tell the story, and link all the kinds of music that made Clear Lake a place to be. And so I am, very, very thrilled to have everybody involved in this.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. I think, again, just a fabulous presentation by Trivium. I want to thank you folks for being here tonight and reading through the packet. As Beth Ann said, just an amazing state-of-the-art technological experience, and we'll really look forward to that. I also want to concur with Creighton's excellent statements. I think this is just an amazing asset and amenity for Clear Lake. And his comments regarding community engagement and this kind of thing, I think, is just very important. So I think it's just going to be a fabulous opportunity for Clear Lake to shine, and we'll really look forward to seeing this progress. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else?
I was just going to mention, Kirsten, if I might, could you describe a little bit, you had shared with us here locally that when you're in development here, you get to like a 60% point, and then we would, group of us would take a trip there to see the work that's been done to kind of give it the official green light. Maybe could you talk a little about that process a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for all the accolades on the lockkeeper's house. That was definitely a labor of love. So we would call that our alpha review. So that's kind of your first real glimpse at the full mock-up setup. So in our studio, we would work with Electrosonic to kind of set up a mock-up of the projection walls and the circular walls. And then you would come to Boston and you would see it working with all of the media and the content in there. It wouldn't be quite finished, like we wouldn't have bought all the stock images and not everything would be purchased yet, but you would definitely get the first real flavor of how the whole thing worked interactively and in the space. Because we wouldn't want to get too far until you saw that and we really got your feedback and your comments. And then hopefully you'd come back again at 95% done and see it again right before we installed. So if there was any kind of last changes or anything like that, we would work with you to make sure it's exactly what you had hoped for. So we take reviews with you very seriously, and throughout the beginning and design, we'd be showing you everything we're working on every week. So everybody on the team would be very involved in the process of this thing being born.
Thank you. I too want to allude to the booklet that you have here. I read through that, I believe, a couple of times. Each time I learned something different, but each time it really enlightens me even more. This will be a fantastic project. I can't wait to see it through to fruition. Any more comments before I ask for a motion here? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve a consultant agreement with Trivium Interactive for the immersive museum integration and content development by this council. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Mark, that we approve the consultant agreement with Trivium Interactive for the immersive museum integration and content development. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Kirsten, Bruce, and Nino. We appreciate your time this evening.
Of course, thank you for having us, and we could not be more thrilled and excited to get started.
That feeling is mutual. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
You bet.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Have a great 4th of July.
Yes, yes.
Thank
And you as well. Set that Boston Harbor alive up there.
We'll do what we can.
Take care. Okay, we're on 6C now. Purchase of a replacement UTV for the Clear Lake Fire Department. Review, Chief Myers. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We bring forth a proposal to replace one of our aging ATVs. That's a 2002 model year that was actually donated to the department in 2004. We solicited from 3 different vendors, 3 different brands actually, trying to get a wide variety of capabilities. And in reviewing those, we had bids from Bodensteiner Implement out of New Hampton for a Can-Am model or brand. Direct government sales out of from Polaris through Medina, Minnesota for a Polaris Ranger 1500, and a Bobcat UV34 from Senko out of Mason City. In reviewing them, the Can-Am and the Bobcat unit had lower horsepower, lower ground clearance, and lower bed capacity weight limits. The Polaris Ranger was midline in the bidding at $28,311.45, and as you recall, during our budget planning sessions and workshop, we had been allocated up to $35,000 for this project. Last Thursday, the membership of the department agreed to fund also the partial purchase of a water tank and portable pump unit that would go back into the bed of this UTV. That price was from a company out of California called QTAC for $10,285. We realized that that put it over that $35,000 limit. So the volunteers, through their fundraising efforts, would offset that additional cost to keep it at that $35,000 budgeted amount. One of the other things that we talked about is what do we do with the old unit? And during those budget sessions, we talked to the Parks Department was looking to purchase one also. So we felt that maybe transferring our existing unit to the Parks Department, they could keep the tank and the pump that's in there. Our department members would remove the warning lights and the signage and put on this new unit as well. So it's kind of a win-win. We're utilizing some of the proceeds from our pancake breakfast to give back into the community as well. Is there any questions you might have?
So we're taking action then on the Polaris.
The recommendation is to buy the Polaris unit with the pump module from QTAC. So it'd be two separate purchases. But the department will reimburse the city for the differences over the budgeted amount.
Okay, so the total amount will be $38,596.
Correct.
Okay, any questions? Chief Myers, counsel. All right, entertain a motion to, with regard to the Clear Lake Fire Department request to purchase the Polaris Ranger in the amount of $28,311.45, along with the slide-in water tank and pump system for $10,285, for a total of $38,596.
Correct.
Correct. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Creighton, that we approve the purchase of the Polaris and the slide-in tank and pump system for the Clear Lake Fire Department. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thanks, Doug.
One other thing, if I could take like 2 minutes more of your time. The membership of the department also purchased an upgraded unmanned aerial drone that has more capabilities than the 6-year-old unit we had. That older unit was no longer supported by software and the battery systems. So that was why we purchased this new drone. It has both infrared or thermal imaging video, as well as live video, and the computer GPS graphing and mapping system on it are far more detailed. We can set grids within 3-foot boxes, basically. And 5 of our members are currently enrolled in the UAV training program. So we'll have upgraded licenses for all those staff. Once again, the membership of the department is funding that purchase, and that was about $12,000. So take more pancakes.
Technology keeps going up.
Thank you.
Thanks. Chief, report. Welcome, Chief.
Mayor, Council. Just a couple things before we get into the map here for the 4th of July. This morning we had our department meeting, one of 2 or 3 we'll have this year. At the meeting, we covered 4 different topics. We had Prairie Ridge come in and give a 45-minute presentation, and it was kind of a 2-way conversation back and forth with the entire staff, the PD, on substance abuse and some of the things that Prairie Ridge offers and to lower stress and stuff for employees that are involved in the first responders thing. So we've partnered with Prairie Ridge the last 6 to 9 months, and they're doing a study for substance abuse in North Iowa, and so we're kind of partnering with them to be part of a data set that they're collecting for employers around here, and then they'll bring some of their information back to the PD here in about 6 months, and maybe have some programs and stuff for those who wish to participate into at free cost for the city and the employees there too. So something we're trying to do with our partners that we partner with a little bit east of us here, and make a better work environment and a better community as a whole. We also covered some legal updates there. We did an hour of Below 100, which is a campaign that's been going on since 2011 for law enforcement to lower the national deaths of the line of duty to below 100. And that covers wearing vests, driving, seatbelt, and a bunch of different safety things that officers can do to limit their risk when they're working on the line of duty. And then the other thing I wanted to cover is we did a department meeting where we issued 3 awards to 3 different officers. And I know several of you were able to be present today. But Officer Conklin got a life-saving award for administering CPR to an individual in the community here that was able to go to the hospital and return back home. Officer Smith was given a service award for finding a fire in the middle of the night, putting the fire out, and evacuating a residence here that was in danger of having the fire spread to it. And then Officer Hall was given a life-saving award for his administration of first aid to a gentleman who was involved in a crash that had severe bleeding too. So those are our 3 big things for today at the department meeting. I have the map here that we've gone through. There's not a lot of changes for the 4th of July Carnival. These road closures here will take place about 4 a.m. this morning. Have some officers come, our CSO coming in to assist the midnight officers to close down the area for the carnival. So there really isn't any changes from the last 2 years of setup for us, other than down by the water department. We worked with Adam Tice of the water department there to kind of make that a little bit better area in front of the vendors there. And what we did is we made that entire street or South Shore from Main to First Ave South no parking. In the past, we had half of that be permit parking only, and we just found that we were getting cars in and out of there, and it was kind of a danger zone as people were walking up and down the street. So this year we just no parking whatsoever there. Put the permit parking around the corner onto First Ave South by the apartments there, and then we moved the garbage bins farther down onto South Shore, kind of away from the food vendors, give them more space from where you're eating your food and everybody's dumping their garbage. And then we're also gonna put those bins right in the middle of the road there to act as a safety barricade so nobody drives a vehicle through there and has access to where everybody's walking in the actual park in the carnival area too. So I don't have any questions from that, but there really isn't a lot of difference in the last year and the year before how we're doing that. So you wake up tomorrow morning, unless you're up at 4 o'clock, it'll have changed overnight. And I know they're already getting some RVs and some of the stuff in the park there too. So hopefully the rain holds off, but I don't know if it's going to. But it should be a pretty busy week, I think, for us. We'll have a lot, same calls that we have, call volume probably compressed into 4.5 days there as opposed to almost 8 days last year too. So we're ready for it though. We had a good meeting today and everybody's on par, and I think we got a really good team to make another successful 4th of July in Clear Lake.
That parking is so key year after
It is.
year after year, and how to get it to that point. It's
Yeah, and Wednesday we'll push out the extra parking we have up there where we tore down the Woodford lumber building, and that's been,
right.
we'll increase some parking there where we didn't really lose any in this map or the last year, but we'll gain some there. It's just, you know, the plat of the city is just not platted out as it would be if you were to design the city today, just, you know, for the age of the town. So, but with that comes a lot of history, just from the stuff we talked about earlier today in the council meeting too. So that's a good thing. But we fix, or I won't say, we get over the parking hurdle every year, and we make do. And I think people enjoy coming.
Thanks for the invite to that meeting this morning. I think those of us who were there really appreciate your leadership with those people. Yes, they got the award, but it's neat to recognize that by the chief as well. Very
And I'll say, we did a little icebreaker thing as a group and had a little riddle of them to solve, and I was hoping you guys would get in on it, but you all sat in the corner.
I think the thing was made up. Mark and I couldn't get it.
Gotta stump you sometimes.
Yeah. I was going to say, pass on to congratulations to Lieutenant Deb Eskelson for 26th anniversary
Today.
here. So, yeah.
Yep.
she's the only one longer than me, so hopefully she stays a lot longer.
She's got some years left, so she's doing good. So, all right, thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Director of Finance and Administrative Services report, Mr. Whitman. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Got a few things I'm going to go over here tonight. Probably won't take super long. I'll go through them pretty quick. The first thing I want to review is we got our property and casualty renewal here for the city, and I don't know if you guys have got your personal insurance renewals, but rates have been going up, and they went up for the city too. So our premium for fiscal year 25 that we're in now jumped up to $357,000. That was about a 33% increase from the year before. Part of that was due to valuation growth within the city. So I think Jay had mentioned that about 10% of that was due to growth that we've seen across the city, and then the other 20-some% was just increase in rates, which, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's kind of industry-wide, especially here in Iowa with the derecho and then all the storms we've had. It just hasn't been good for insurance companies, and for ICAP, they've had to pay out a lot for cities, and it's kind of felt by every city across Iowa. So not great news there, but I know it has been worse for other cities. So a little bit of a bright line, but still not great news.
I was just going to add to that, Jacob, that we did have the two companies, Employers Mutual, and I forget the name of the third company that we worked with to get quotes. One wouldn't even quote us, and the other was not even remotely competitive to what ICAP was. So we did test the market to see what others were at, and pretty much anymore you're just lucky to get a quote. You know.
That is correct, yeah. Yeah, like you said, EMC was higher than what ICAP is by a decent amount. And I think it was Selective was the other one. They didn't even provide a quote. So it's where the market's at for it, I guess, and we can be thankful we have coverage in case something happens. I guess on the insurance renewal thing, we also did get back our workman's comp insurance renewal, and that is pretty much flat this year, which was a really good sign. There's an insurance modification factor based on claims, and we've seen improvement in our claims the last few years, and that helped our rate to stay flat this year. So that was good news there to see that that didn't go up any. Okay, the next thing then, this is in your packet, and I know I think you've all kind of been aware of it, made aware of it a little bit. So vacation buyback policy. So we're looking at implementing a buyback policy for vacation that's been forfeited. So every employee in the city is given a certain vacation allowance based on years of service. I believe it's anywhere from 2 weeks to 5 weeks is what an employee is allotted. Like I said, based on how long they've been here or how much experience they came with to the city. And unfortunately, some positions aren't able to use all of that, either because of things that are going on within the department. Maybe they're short-staffed, or maybe there's just a lot of different things going on in the city, and employees don't feel like they have enough time to take off for vacation. So we do have some employees who forfeit vacation every year, some that forfeit a lot of vacation every year. And so we were just looking at a way to, how could we show those employees that we appreciate them, give them something as opposed to nothing for that vacation going away. And so that's kind of where the impetus of this policy came from. I guess getting into a little bit of the policy we'd be looking at so you can carry over at your work anniversary date, you can carry over 1 week of vacation, and then you accrue for the next year. So then anything on top of that that you would have outstanding would be forfeited. And so this policy would pay you back 60 cents on the dollar for anywhere between 8 hours and 40 hours is what we're looking at, to just provide a little bit of benefit to those employees. So, any questions on that? We're looking at, next time we'll probably bring it back to council as a resolution for approval.
I think you mentioned, Jacob, there's somewhere around 7 to 8 employees that
Correct.
lost some level of vacation last year by not being able to carry over the week, but then still would lose at least anywhere from 1 day to a couple weeks or more.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct, yep, so.
Yeah. So the proposal will be then to buy back at a value of 60%. So not a full value, 60%, not less than 8 hours and not more than 40 hours. So, but it's 60% of 8 hours or 60% of 40 hours in those situations.
Okay. The next thing then on the agenda is, so the grant we were talking about earlier, Destination Iowa, that we've been talking about for a long time. We're finally getting into some of the reporting for it. So we've had some quarterly reports that we've been doing to the state, which we're continuing to do. But then we just had our first annual report on it that we had to submit to the state at the end of June here. And so we got that submitted to the state, just kind of gave an update on where the project is at, kind of updated cost figures on it. And as Scott's mentioned before, there's a lot of administrative stuff involved with this grant and making sure we're in compliance. And so it's even with doing the report, there was a couple things that came out, and that I think you saw a couple things on your council packet tonight because of that. And so just a checkup, and I think we'll have another one a year from now. But good to have that first annual report under our belt, and just continue on with the reporting on that. The final thing I want to talk about tonight then is ambulance user fees. So in your packet, this is the very last page. And the second to last page too is, so on the second to last page, we received a recommendation from PCC, who is our third-party ambulance billing company, to increase our rates. These would be up to basically standard insurance rates now. So we have not increased our ambulance fees since July 1st of 2019. So it's been over 5 years now. And you all know in that time, we've seen a ton of inflation. And I know even our ambulance budget has nearly doubled in that time frame. So we're just kind of looking at doing a refresh on the rates, getting them up to date to those standard insurance rates, so that we're kind of keeping up a little bit with those inflation numbers that we've been seeing on the expense side. So, on the middle of that back page, it kind of gives you the current rates and then the new rate. And so the biggest jump will be in non-emergent transport for the BLS, going from 400 to 575. That's about a 43% increase. And then the other increases range anywhere from 9% to mid 20%. So just doing a little update there, trying to keep up with the times.
Now, if I remember correctly, Jacob, so Medicare, Medicaid are significant percentages of our calls for service, and Doug can probably answer this as well. Those limits are capped. And so regardless of what our rate structure is, they have a schedule that's what they pay.
I believe so. Yep.
So part of this is why there's always not such a major urgency to always look at the rates, is because when we have a preponderance of our calls from Medicare, Medicaid, we get what we get. And we can't get any more. I remember one of our trips to Washington DC one year, we were talking about Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement formulas, and it was there we discovered that we're lower than Puerto Rico. We were 51st. Iowa was, and how can we lead the country in nonagenarians, octogenarians? How can we be this low on Medicare reimbursement for these things? And well, no one wants to trade places with us, was the answer. So even though we will adjust these rates, as we'll come back to you at the next meeting, we'll adjust these rates. These are for typically what we'll see here is if you have insurance, is what we're going to see on those claims. So and not everybody's got it.
Right, yeah, I don't anticipate that it'll increase revenue significantly, but it'll do something at least.
The difference between BLS and ALS on emergency transport.
Yeah.
Basically.
Versus advanced.
Medications are administered, no advanced cardiac monitoring. For ALS, we may be giving medications, during continuous cardiac monitoring.
All the way to
Interventions with IV fluid.
And we will also, there's on that second to last page, updating rates on the supplies a little bit too, just to bring those up in line. So, any questions on any of that or anything else?
Council? Thanks.
Yep.
Public Works is not here. City Engineer, Mr. Matt Stedding. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, good to see everybody tonight. We'll get fired up here with number one, City Hall Administrative Security. So, not to sound like a broken record, but we're still waiting on casework. That's a real problem. So, waiting on that currently, as well as the front entrance framework and ballistic glass for the reception area. Those two things are actually completed, waiting to ship until the casework is installed in the reception area. So it's everything has been done short of busting down Leland's doors. So unless we want to go that route, which I don't think Chief Kobe wants me to do, we're gonna hurry up and wait a little bit for that. But we're hoping. We did find, I don't want to get anybody too excited, but they did say that they are starting to finally start working on it, is what they said. So we should have that hopefully in the next couple weeks is what they're thinking. So everything else is getting done pretty well. Most of the furniture has been installed, just waiting on a few of the visitor chairs and the chairs in the actual conference room. And other than that, Ryan Hawken, he's a superintendent with Hinkle. He's doing a little paint touch-up right now. And everything else is kind of on a standstill until that casework comes. So that's kind of all I got on that.
I was going to mention on that one, if I could interrupt Matt just for a moment. We were talking to Ryan this afternoon, the Jeff Ruppett and I, a few guys, and he was talking about how nice the project's looking and everything. And he said, yeah, boy, it was pretty rough before. Well, wait a minute. I thought it looked pretty decent. You should have seen it when I first got here. But it was amazing to get his perspective on, I guess, what we had before and what he thinks we have now. So
Ryan has extreme OCD too, so as do I, but not to his level, I don't think so. Anyway, moving on here, South Shore Estates, units 29 and 30 are completed to my knowledge, and Alliant is actually set to come in on July 6th. They're going to be doing the underground, and they're going to start setting transformers on those twin home units. So that's the schedule on that. And some of the single-family lots that I believe have been sold or currently in the works of being sold, they're looking to break ground on the foundation portions on those early August, weather permitting. And shortly after that, they'll be also finishing up those twin homes that are still looking to get completed there. So they're moving on there. The driveways and the sidewalks have been completed all the way through the twin home area, and then they've kind of stopped until the residential portion of the single families get developed out, and then those sidewalks will kind of get and driveways will be put in as those develop out. So that's where that project's sitting right now. Surf District Streetscape, making some good progress there. I'm sure everyone has seen the sidewalk pavers starting to take place. So we actually just opened up the sidewalk from the east side of the surf entrance all the way to Buddy Holly in front of the surf side. So that sidewalk's been completed, and Wapsie Pines is the one that's installing that. They're going to keep continuing down North Shore there in front of the surf this week, and hopefully start to get some of those next two pieces completed there as they move forward. And I'm currently working with Jaden Electric. We're going along the south side of North Shore right now, doing some hydro vacuuming, going down where they're going to set light pole bases. So those are going to be getting set throughout this week, and then we're going to move and go up along 7th Avenue and get those light pole bases set as well. And then also, Dean Snyder is working with Castor, going up Buddy Holly right now. Castor's coming into town in the morning, weather permitting. They're going to do the radius portions of the bump outs and the bioswale gardens there on North Shore and Buddy Holly right as you turn up. And then they're also getting the intersection of 6th Avenue poured and back in place there. Hoping to have a lot of that 6th Avenue poured back by the end of this week. Again, weather permitting, but that's what we're shooting for. And then we're going to get in, dig out the permeable paver crosswalks, and then Wapsie Pines will get in as soon as they're done on North Shore, and then they'll start setting those vehicle pavers, the permeable portion for those crosswalks at 6th Ave. And then we'll keep working up Buddy Holly there on that one.
It's good to mention, Matt, just as a reminder, the one there on North Shore Drive and Buddy Holly Place, there's 2 crosswalks there, and one is going to be reset because it's sunken a little bit, and we're going to use a different stone in that one, if I remember right. And,
correct. Both of them are going to be reset.
Okay, both are reset.
Yep,
okay.
yep. So we're going to reset both on North Shore there. We're just deciding what portion of the project we're actually going to do that. So we're going to try to fit it in where it makes sense. But we actually have went through the rest of them. They make a GeoGrid product that is really supposed to enhance the structural stability of those vehicle portions, just with all the weight and the heavy trucks going over those. So we went ahead and it was a very small additional cost. We went ahead and added those into all of the vehicle portion of the permeable pavers. So the ones that we've added it into on Buddy Holly and on 7th have been holding up really well so far. So those are looking really good at this point. And we'll just keep an eye on things moving forward, but it's very minimal. I mean, it's easy to fix and reset, so it's not a huge deal. So update on the basketball and pickleball courts, we have the concrete banding completed around the exterior of the pickleball courts. Public Works did that. And then they have the fence set around 3 sides, so the east, west, and south side of the pickleball courts have been set. The basketball court has been painted and completed, and the hoops are up. So if anybody wants to challenge Scott or I in a game, we're up for it. So.
You must have seen my video of Creighton.
I guess if you want a 2-on-1.
Loser buys, so. But no, that project's coming along. So acrylic surfacing, from my understanding, they're working in Garner right now, and then they had some setbacks with the weather. They're set to come in hopefully next week and start the acrylic surfacing on the pickleball courts, and then Public Works can get in, finish the concrete portion. We got a 20 by 40 pad that the bleachers are going to sit on the north end of the pickleball courts. We'll get in and wrap that up. They can finish the fencing on the north end, and then we'll get the sidewalk going out to the parking area completed. And as of right now, I'm working with Jim Hunt Electric. He's hoping to get started on the lighting for the tennis court area, and then also the pickleball and the basketball court area. So I'm working through some just items with him on that right now. Update on the alley reconstruction project. That one is all but completed as of today. So Alliant they were able to go in, get the gas moved, and Larson Contracting, they just finished up the last little piece of the apron today. And Alliant couldn't get to it with their outsourcing contractor. There was 2 panels. There was one at the corner of Main and 8th, and then there's another one at the corner of 1st. And they had to take them out to get to some utilities, and there was rock put back in place. And with the 4th of July and everything coming up, we thought it'd probably be a good idea to get those re-poured. So Larson was kind enough to go and re-pour those 2 panels. One is just temporary because they got to remove a few more, but it's going to be good for the 4th. So everybody, every families, tourist guest, everybody will be able to cross those with strollers and everything without a problem. So that project, like I said, is pretty well wrapped up and everything went well. So if you guys have any questions on anything, I'd be more than happy to answer.
We really appreciate what you do and your reporting.
Thank you,
You
Mr. Mayor.
know,
Appreciate it.
it's refreshing, let's put it that way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Public Works is missing, city engineer, we're there, we're to the mayor report, chamber. Welcome, Stacy.
Council, really looking forward to that ribbon cutting on the pickleball courts and basketball courts when they're finally all done and ready to roll. Speaking of celebratory moments, tomorrow we have the groundbreaking ceremony for Emerald Cove Townhomes at 2 o'clock. I'll check in with them first thing in the morning, depending on the weather, and I'll keep you all posted. And then speaking of weather, I know that's probably one of the hottest topics regarding the 4th of July, so I just thought I'd share our plan in the event that we have to have any delays. So for the parade itself, if there is significant rain or lightning, we will do 1 half-an-hour delay. At the end of that, if there's still significant rain and lightning, we will do another half-an-hour delay, at which time, if we're not able to proceed, the parade will be canceled. So that is the plan for the parade. For the fireworks themselves, we, like Chief said, it's a collaborative effort to discuss the plan there. Hopefully, all of this weather just dissipates over the next few days, but we do have Friday as the backup plan for the 4th of July fireworks. So in the event that we have to delay or cancel those on Thursday, we'll have them on Friday, weather permitting. And if Friday is icky, we'll go from there. So that's the plan in terms of weather. Excited for a 5-day festival. Evans rolled into town. It's their 51st year here. Got lots of good things planned. Normally this has been a 7-day celebration the last couple of years, so a 5-day celebration will feel like a blink of an eye. So hope to see you guys enjoying all of the carnival rides and corn dogs like I will be. Any questions?
Normal parade starting is still 10 a.m.
Yep, 10 a.m.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Questions, council? Thanks, Stacy.
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
I really just came to see the surf presentation and hear from Stacy about the 4th, so I'll be really quick. But really appreciate you guys, and I'm supposed to be at a softball game shortly. But really appreciate all of you that supported our annual meeting here a couple weeks ago over at the Legacy Golf Course. Best attendance we've ever had, almost 180 folks at that. So really phenomenal event. Emily Pritchard gave a great keynote. I got to recognize Mercy One as their flagship investor and all those that represent and support our organization, so really appreciate that. Next day or two, you should be getting a survey from us. I just want to get some feedback from folks and thoughts on the event and what they'd like to see. Also going to have a few little things in there about the organization, just get general feedback on what our investors and partners would like to see from us and things that we can do better or assist with or whatever the case might be, ways to communicate better. And more effectively, so please respond to that if you get that in your inbox. Also moving forward with some website updates and things. We're actually working with local company 2020 Creative on that. They do a great job for the Clear Lake Chamber, and so we're excited to support a local company. And our website's been overdue for a refresh for about 10 years now, so we're getting on that. Maddie's really leading the charge on that, so appreciate her help on that. We've got the airport ribbon cutting, just to make sure that's on your agenda, is July 24th at 11 a.m. So if you haven't had a chance to get in there yet, it is just a phenomenal upgrade. So excited for people to see that. I think their first flight is the week after that, going out of the facility. Also, we been working on our workforce position here for a while with NIAC. Happy to say we did make an offer on that a week or two ago and got that offer accepted. I'm not sure if I haven't gotten the okay to announce her name yet, but they will start July 22nd, so looking forward to introducing everybody to her. I think overqualified for the position, is going to open up some new avenues and opportunities for us with the skill set that we're bringing on board for that. So really, really excited to bring that person in to the team. So a lot of good stuff happening. Any questions for me?
Chad, I'm just curious, excuse me, do they know what they're going to do with the old terminal? Are they going to tear it down?
It's coming down, I'm afraid.
The whole
Yeah,
thing?
Unfortunately, it's going to have to come down. They just couldn't figure out a viable use for it going forward, because it does have to remain in aeronautical or air-related use, and that's a limited field. And at the cost that it would have been to repurpose that, it just wasn't feasible, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Actually, we did have some meetings with the airport today. You know, they've got quite a bit of land over there, and we've had a lot of discussions over the years about potential development opportunities there. So we did have a good conversation again today about actually a live lead. That could be pretty neat. So a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, I encourage all of us here, if we can possibly be at that ribbon cutting at the airport, to be there. It's, the airport manager is Clear Lake Fire Department. Is he still? Or is he still? And he's a resident of Clear Lake, Dave Sims. And I think that would be important to see us all there. It's in our territory, but it's Mason City's airport.
Yeah.
And so
Well, and that was one of the points they made, was just the infrastructure that you guys have brought over there really opens it up for that kind of development that we're looking at. So it's an awesome, again, just a great regional asset, great regional partnership, important thing for us economically, and a lot of local businesses and business people use that every day. So it's very.
They're on our water ticket, I believe.
Yeah.
Water and sewer both.
And sewer both, okay.
Yeah.
That's really good. With regard, thanks, Chad. With regard to that, and our own people, I've kind of been going around to various departments as I see these guys and women work, and, just give them a pat on the back, or talk to them, or chat with them. Some cases, maybe take them a roll or two. They really do work very, very hard. Sometimes the weather isn't the best, either winter or summer, and they really keep things humming in this town, and very, very grateful to have that type of work, all the way from the library, to Department of Public Works, to the Water Department. Those guys that are running our park and rec this summer are phenomenal, what they have been doing for us all. So anyway, I thought this morning we were there with the PD, that that's what hit me. We ought to do that with, even if it's just personal rather than all bringing them together. I think that's very good. Scott?
Nothing to.
Anything else, council? Good meeting. Thank you all for being here.